Give me a thumbs up if this is your first session. Okay, welcome. How are you, Matt?
Hey, good. How are you?
So tonight we're going to do specific applications for serving Rotary. So specific things to Rotary, like being club president, running a meeting, retention, getting volunteers to step up, getting the volunteers who have stepped up to do more, how to carve a leadership path for yourself if you care to do more in the organization. I'll answer anything you want to answer. In fact, we're going to begin today with a whiteboard session. So I have a pen and I have a whiteboard, and I'm going to ask as part of the greeting today, what specific challenges you're having in terms of presentations. And I guess we could start, thank you, Mackenzie, for pressing record. You beat me to it. We're going to ask everybody who's on the call to give a quick little hello and your name and club, and something that you're challenged by, or something that I got inside your head with last week that you're thinking, how can I do that? Or what is he talking about when he said that? That's not going to work. Because I love that when people say that doesn't work in my club. I love to hear that, because that means we've got a challenge and we've got a problem to solve, and that makes me feel useful. So let's do that. Let's get that ticket punched this time around. Let's just do a quick round robin. You can raise your hand and Mackenzie will call on you, or you can just start speaking. If I call on you, you can unmute. Samantha, you want to go first? Does something jump to mind about presentations and speaking and all of these things that we talked about last week?
Way to put me in the hot seat. Number one, hi everyone, I'm Samantha Schnettler. I am a member of the Rotary Club of Harbor Beach. I'm also your incoming public image chair for the district. For me, honestly, the first thing that came to mind isn't so much me speaking or other people speaking, but keeping consistent speakers coming to our club and sharing with us and presenting to us. Sometimes our club will go weeks without having a guest speaker, and I think it's a shame. I find that's a challenge, especially considering that's one of the huge benefits of Rotary.
Excellent. I've written it down. We're going to march through these very quickly, and I'm going to get everybody happy before the end of the call. I'll stay on as long as we need to do it. Clark, talk to me. What issues are you having with regard to presentations? It could be your presentation. It could be, as Samantha said, other people's presentations.
So one thing that we find interesting, especially in Pigeon, it's a decently sized room, but depending on especially the presenter, it might feel like it's, sometimes I struggle with myself that I do very well in large crowds, but I struggle with when it's about 12 to 20 people, just because my voice and my loudness goes better with the bigger crowd. So sometimes I struggle when it's more intimate to try and figure out how to connect with those people on a more one-on-one basis.
So what we're saying, Clark, is you have intimacy issues.
Precisely, yes. Let the recording show that, yes.
That's my shorthand. Clark has intimacy issues. And we're recording this call, Clark, so now everyone will know you have intimacy issues. So this is great. Thank you, sir. Let me get you happy here in a minute. Matt, talk to me. What's going on with you?
I always want to learn more. I do quite a bit of speaking in the role that I'm at with work, but I'm very detail oriented and always want to make sure I'm not including too much details and I'm losing people, and just kind of look at talking from the 50,000 foot level where you can keep people engaged and not lose them.
Okay, very good. Let's start with these three items, and then we'll kind of spread out the intros and the other issues. And some of you will have similar issues, so we'll fry a couple fish at the same time. Let's talk about good speakers. So the first problem we have, I think, is with, and I'll be very direct here. I know you're Rotarians. You love the four-way test. You love the truth. So I'm going to tell you the truth. A lot of program chairs are lazy. And I know because I was one. And all I was trying to do was fill up that damn calendar. And I didn't care if they were great speakers or not. I needed a speaker for Wednesday. Can you do it? Yes or no? And we have to curate and cultivate a culture in our clubs where we say we want great speakers or we want nobody. Because when you have average speakers, you set a low bar. When you have average speakers, the visitors that are there that day say, geez, this wasn't that special of a meeting. I don't think I'll come back a second time. And you are burning out your club when you do this. So you've got to have a bar. And one of the bars I suggest anymore is that we're only going to have speakers, and it's going to be harder in the small towns, but we're only going to have speakers that think of themselves enough to have a 2-minute promo video or a 2-minute sample of their speaking skills on YouTube. And if they don't have it, we're not going to book them. Because otherwise, how do we even know if you're a good speaker? And by the way, if you don't think of yourself enough to have any YouTube videos, how good of a speaker can you be? Some of you are thinking, boy, this is harsh. But I will tell you, you separate the wheat from the chaff pretty quickly with that little distinction. And if you can get your program chair to pledge that. So I belong to a club right now that has not booked a speaker yet for July 1st because we have a new program chair. And he just doesn't understand what he's up against. I don't think it's been communicated to him exactly what we want moving forward. So I'm going to talk to him this week. Wish me luck. So I think that's a big part of it is you set a bar for these good speakers and you just don't deviate from it. And the other thing is you want to make sure that you give speakers something that, they're doing you a huge favor by coming out. You want to give them something. So you're going to give them a professional environment, or you're going to give them a large crowd. If you're going to promise them 50 people, then you have to have 50 people there. When we try to get like high-end speakers to Troy Rotary, I always tell them we're going to get 100 people there for you. And I have no idea how we're going to get 100 people. I've done it before, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it when I promise them that. But that's the deal. And then everybody's happy. So I think set a bar and stay consistent and take it seriously, man. It's an important job. Think about this. We give the speaker the microphone for more minutes in the meeting than anybody in the club. And we're never even going to see that person again. And a lot of times we give them that microphone, never having heard the speaker. It's bizarre. Some 20 years ago, TED Talks, thumbs up if you know TED Talks. They started doing 20-minute talks. They're actually 18 minutes. And they ate Rotary's lunch because TED Talks are good. All the TED Talks are recorded. They all go online on YouTube. They get thousands and thousands of views. Rotary doesn't do any of that stuff. They ate our lunch. Maybe Zoom will change that. We'll see. But I think that's my best advice for that, Samantha.
So
Clark,
Michael, on that, how do you balance informing the club on community issues, which is part of being a Rotarian, is being engaged in the community, know what's going on, and being able to plug in where you're needed with speakers with a YouTube video? How do you balance those two things?
It's a great question. It's the same problem with balancing Rotary education. Like there's always a Rotary traditionalist in the club that says, a Rotary, mute your microphones if you're not talking, guys. We're getting a lot of people. Oh my gosh, everybody's here. 53 people already, great. And we might have to do the same with video. We'll see how this works. And you've got speaker view on the recording, right, Mackenzie? Okay, cool, thank you. So the traditionalists in the club will say, well, we've got to block out time to do Rotary stuff. And then they present Rotary stuff that's drier than cornflakes. Everything we do in Rotary has to be a value proposition. So if it's a Rotary speaker, the Rotary speaker's got to be good. If it's about a community, what's called community engagement or community service, one of the 5 avenues of service, then it's got to be a good session. And there are ways to do this, but I think a lot of times because it's less Hollywood and less slick than some of the other speakers that we get, we end up with these really lame presentations, these really lame value propositions. Does that help, Mackenzie?
It does.
It's not a time balance, it's a quality balance that we're after.
And so when you get the quality, how do you then promote the guest speakers? So you said that you've managed to, hey, I'm going to get you 100 people, and you've been able to pull that off. So what ways can we leverage these guest speakers to get more folks coming to our meetings?
Yeah, so lately, people have been trying to get a hold of healthcare people, but with COVID, it's been hard. But if you get a healthcare person to come in, You contact all the area clinics. You contact anybody that has anything to do with medicine. You contact insurance companies because they're obliquely related to medical, right? And you tell all of them, we have a really great speaker coming in. And a lot of times what we'll say is we tell them the speaker's name as if the speaker is Madonna or Sting or somebody like this, and a recognized name. But the name doesn't mean anything. Even the title doesn't mean anything. You have to tell people, and I tell people this all the time when I do work for them, they don't know my name sometimes, most of the time. You got to tell them what they're going to get from me. What am I going to teach them? What are they going to learn? Why is this speaker worth stopping everything you're doing that day to tune in? Because the title and the name of the speaker are not going to sell the program. Y'all understand that, right? And by the way, if your speaker hasn't communicated to you why they're special or what they're going to teach, we have another, as they said in Cool Hand Luke, we have a failure to communicate. Everybody should be really clear on what they're bringing to the table. And it's that little soundbite. Now everybody can say, oh yeah, he's the guy that's going to talk about such and such. I think that's the key, Mackenzie. Clark, we're talking about speaking to small groups versus larger groups. Is that primarily the issue?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's your booming voice or anything. Tell me more, man. Do you find that you have like this big theater presence and you're better in front of large groups, but with small groups there's a focus issue, or there's it doesn't seem as important maybe? Can you tell me more?
So it is more along the lines that I guess I'm just more comfortable in front of larger crowds, and when I know that maybe people aren't as engaged, or I can see them actually,
Okay.
it just makes me start to second guess myself.
Okay. So I used to have the same problem because I always fancied myself to be a big crowd guy. But one of the things I started doing was staging the room a little bit more carefully. Let's say it's a physical setting. So for example, I don't stand up anymore if the group is 20 people or less. I sit down with them. And if I have control over the seating, I arrange horseshoe seating and I sit at the open end of the horseshoe. Why? Because now I'm available to everybody, right? I'm at the vortex, I'm available and exposed, if you will, to them. But I'm not standing up and gesticulating and pointing at, PowerPoint. I don't use PowerPoint anyway. So it's conversation, Clark. It's eyeball to eyeball. There are no theatrics. I'm a human being talking to another human being or a few human beings. And by taking it down a few notches, it's kind of like when MTV went unplugged. You didn't need all those speakers. You didn't even really need electricity because you were just going to play strum an acoustic guitar and sing a song. And isn't that the essence of what we do anyway? Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Do you present at work, Clark? And if so, what do you present on?
So I do sports broadcasting. I also do marketing and communications as a living.
All right, so that's part of the issue. You're a media guy. You're a professional, and so when it comes down to this level, what also helped me with this was doing one-on-one interviews. Like I do a podcast now, and in fact, on Thursday I have two really good interviews. I'm interviewing the guy that directed the movie The Russian Five, the story of the Red Wings bringing the Russians over to play hockey. And I'm also interviewing the drummer for the band Chicago. And that helps me think of it more as a human being conversation. And then I start thinking, well, what can I do with my professional communication skills, just like yours, Clark? What can I do to help everybody else in the room get more from this meeting? I become more like the facilitator and less the star of the show.
I'm not doing anything to hold.
Whoever's on 8866 could, thank you very much. That might have been Mackenzie that did my dirty work for me. Thank you. All right, very good. Clark, stay with me, more to come. Matt, you mentioned not getting too much into the weeds and not doing too many details. Part of this is staying with your talking points. We talked last week about having only 3 or 4 talking points in a 20-minute session. You don't need to cover 10 things. And a good analogy of this is when you get the email that says, 10 jokes in it. It's got 10 jokes. When I'm feeling cheeky, I reply to that person. I say, why don't you just send me the 2 best ones? You know, I don't need all 10. And in a lot of cases, you don't need to have 10 talking points. Just do the 4 or 5 that you really need them to get. And that's a good way to, again, kind of balance that over, you know, the fire hose effect. Does that help, Matt?
Sure.
I know it's a quick answer to a problem you've been struggling with for a while. I don't mean to be like a miracle worker here where I'm solving everybody's stuff like this, but that's kind of the right direction to go in. Let's do some more greetings. I'm calling on people that are on video first. Hey, Jan Lampum, you were on last week. How are you? You're going to have to unmute to answer my question. What are you
Hey,
struggling with?
listen, I'm old. It takes me a long time to scroll down to unmute. I'm doing great, thank you.
You're old. You must be exhausted then, scrolling.
I
all
am.
the
This is,
time.
listen. I'll be in bed in an hour.
Tell me about presentations in your club. What's going on?
Presentations in our club, we've been on Zoom, and they have been really very high quality, I think. I want to compliment our president. I don't know if she's on, Sharon Mortensen, but they have been, the speakers have been good. They've been informative. I think we have a plethora of good speakers in the Midland community.
So no real issues?
I have not found there to be any.
Okay. So how about a free tip? Zoom people are still trying to do group activities that they did in physical meetings on Zoom, and they don't work. Can I give you a few of them?
Sure.
Citing the 4-way test does not work in a group Zoom meeting. Stop doing it.
Agreed.
Stop doing it, man. It's a cluster. Have one person read it, and have everybody, if they want to mouth it silently to themselves, if they're all on mute. But this idea of having everybody's microphone on so we can all see the 4-way test together, it's a clown show. So let's not do it. There are different, and the same thing, if you're installing a member, you can't pin the member on Zoom. So stop trying to make a farce of it. It just doesn't work. There was another thing that people were doing. Was it invocation or something where there was a group? Oh, it was happy birthday, singing happy birthday. Oh my God. I'm a former musician, and I can tell if you're in tune. And it's impossible to have everybody be in tune if everybody's singing in their own key. I mean, come on, let's think this through. So have one person, I suggest the best singer in the club, sing happy birthday. It would be lovely. All right, thank you, Jan. I appreciate you. Let's move up to Tom Miles. Tom, you're going to be governor soon. You're going to give a 50 speeches, or you're governor now. Whoops, your microphone, sir. Maybe can't find it.
I'm trying to get you, Tom. It's not
All right,
letting
let's
me.
come back when we can unmute Tom. I'm eager to hear from him.
There we go. He's good.
Yeah,
Okay. Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm having trouble with my Zoom.
Aren't we all? Tom, you're governor now, correct?
That's right.
How has the year been? It's a sloppy kind of an ending. I'm sorry for that, sir.
Well, aside from that, the year's been good.
Okay.
Even with that, it's not terrible.
Tom, what advice do you have for the incoming presidents in terms of getting their presentation and their voice together, literally and figuratively?
Well, I think just as you've been talking about, having good speakers is important, I think. And if they can get past the governor's speech, then they've got a shot at having good speakers.
What did you learn about your own governor's speech this year that maybe you didn't know before?
Oh, I learned that I had a PowerPoint and I kept adding more things. I'm afraid it got longer and longer as the year went on.
Yeah. How many slides did you have at the end of the rodeo?
Oh, I forget. I think maybe 45.
Yeah. So here's a tip for all you PowerPoint users. Let's say you're going to speak for 20 minutes, because that's a typical Rotary slot, and you have 45 slides. Let's just say 40 slides, keep the math fun and easy. You have to show 2 slides per minute to get through 40 slides. And that's what Tom is saying, is that at some point it becomes so burdensome, man, you just can't do it. Even 1 slide a minute, you're really moving. And so back to my thing again that I recommended to Matt is just find 5 slides. If you have to use PowerPoint, the 5 slides. And which ones? The 5 best ones, everybody. Delete all the other ones. Write this down. If you remember nothing else tonight, they never know what you leave out of your presentation. Especially if you're covering all the important bases, you know. So thank you, Tom, and thank you for serving this year, sir.
Thank you.
Gene Saxon, what's happening? What club are you in?
I'm in the Pinconning and Standish one. It's called Northern Bay and Aranet County.
All right, what's going on with presentations?
We've been doing the Zoom meetings ever since pretty much pets. We actually have pretty good speakers that come on board.
Okay.
We haven't been doing our 4-way test or the pledge or singing or anything on
Oh,
Zoom.
the pledge. That was another one, the pledge. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because currently I'm Sergeant at Arms and I usually make everybody sing, but I haven't done that. Yeah, and our speakers will usually talk anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, and then there's always a question and answer session.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, we had actually one of our past presidents had a person from Wisconsin, a businessman from Bay City, Michigan, and one other person, and they talked about what this COVID was doing to their businesses. And that was very interesting. And that Zoom meeting lasted about an hour and a half.
Oh my. Well, that's good though, because people could hang in there. Gene, I have a tip for you called video hygiene. Are you ready? So
Sure.
what is the view in your screen right now? Are you seeing a bunch of heads?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see your head is a little lower in the frame than many of the others?
Yeah.
That is not better.
Well, I actually bought a
So
stage.
here's the issue. And you can't tilt the camera down a little bit or raise your seat up.
I can't raise my feet up.
And the reason is because when you're further away, it makes your head look smaller. And when you're seated lower, it makes the other people look superior. And neither are true. So I can tell you when I do interviews, I do this with all my guests. We try to establish what's called a 2-shot. And that means you want both heads to be roughly the same height in the frame. Clark is using this in broadcasting because they check all this stuff very intently when they're broadcasting to larger audience. And it'll do you a lot of good as sergeant because a sergeant's supposed to be a little powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which you are, I'm sure. Thank you, Gene.
Wicked. Okay.
Let's move over to Kevin. Kevin with 2 V's, man.
Kevin with 2 V's and 2 E's.
I didn't even get to the E's yet. The V's were just stunned.
You'll never forget it. You'll never.
What's going on?
Not too much. Not too much. I'm from the Cass City Club. Pertaining to Zoom meetings in regards to how things are going, I feel like my shoulders have gotten a little bit broader because I've been carrying the team. Unfortunately, my program person hasn't came through, so I'm basically the program every week. So I have to be 50 different faces all the time. Always trying to reach out to somebody to help. And that in regards to, hey, if shooting emails out, hey, if you guys have any ideas, X, Y, and Z, help me. And I really am not getting any feedback, which is very frustrating. I've being on this Zoom meeting tonight, I have realized that I totally missed all my May birthdays. At every meeting, I never even talked about anybody's birthday. And I'm fumbling in areas, but I'm making it work. But it's clutter. It's clutter. Right. It's not 100% work. I'm probably getting maybe a C+, which is not good enough.
All right, take it easy, man. Deep breath. You're being too hard on yourself. Listen, how many people are in your club?
23.
Okay, so here's the thing about delegation is you cannot do everything. If you try to do too many things, you will fail as president. You don't want to fail as president, do you?
No.
All right, so they used to have a campaign in Michigan, I think it was for drugs. It was just say no. You're going to have to just start saying no to stuff. So you're going to have to say no to being program chair. And it's going to hurt you because you're going to start hearing things fall to the ground. And
Yeah.
next Wednesday or 2 Wednesdays from now, whatever, you're not going to have a speaker. And everybody's going to think it's your fault. But they'll get over it because you cannot be the program chair. Why not? Tell me, Kevin.
I can't. No. The answer is no.
Why can't you be program chair? Tell me why.
Because I'm doing way too much. I got enough on my plate.
Are you going to be the president next year?
I am.
Okay, that's why you can't be program chair. You're going to be the president.
Right. And I'm
Use this logic. This will freak people out. Tell you what, I can be the program chair, but I can't be the president. They'll say,
whoa.
that'll be like a brain teaser for them. They won't know what to say to that.
Yes.
Of course you need to be the president. And of course you can't do a good job as president if you're doing a bunch of other shit. Right?
Correct.
So, and I get this argument all the time from people. They say, my club won't do stuff. And I say, how many people? And I have to do everything. I'm the Riley chair. I'm the sergeant at arms. I run the newsletter. I said, you don't know how to delegate. And then, how dare you? Of course I know how to delegate. I say, how many people are in your club? They say 50. I say, why are you holding down all these positions? It doesn't make any sense. I can't do the math. And it's
Right.
the reason is that they don't want to say no. And you're not helping the club by taking on so much stuff.
Well,
So
I have a chair. It's just with Zoom and COVID and all that. I get my handful of people that constantly show up, and then I have ones that I have not seen in 3 months. So then, unfortunately, my chairperson is not the one that's showing up. She's busy making videos for her business on Facebook. So unfortunately, we get the short end of the stick. So I'm basically filling gaps. I'm not taking on roles. I'm just kind of, hey, I know this is here. How can we as a club make it work? I'm not gonna do it all. I'm just saying I understand that it's not here.
I feel you, and I know you're doing triage right now, and I know it's a rough time, and you're trying to get everybody in the saddle. Jim Collins, when he wrote the book Good to Great, he said you got to get the right people on the bus, and then you got to get those people in the right seats. If you've got a program chair that's not coming to meetings, she can't be program chair anymore.
Right.
That's the line that you draw. Your club can never grow and never be great if you've got people in the position. I'll tell you something, and some of you think maybe I'm harsh. I haven't had dinner yet tonight. Maybe my blood sugar's low. Or maybe this is how Rotary's supposed to be. Standards. Maybe we're supposed to hold the standard so that we don't become, I don't know, the optimists. Because I used to belong to the optimists. I joined Rotary because I thought they were more professional. I thought I made the right decision at the time. I still do. When I became governor, Tom Miles will enjoy this. When I became governor, I released our treasurer, our district treasurer, from the position, a position he had served for 14 years. And my excuse for releasing him, because nobody had a problem with him. Oh yeah, it was true. He didn't have an assistant treasurer. Nobody else had the bank account numbers. Nobody else knew passwords for the bank accounts and any of that stuff. That alone is a reason to let the guy go. But I let him go for this reason. And this is what I told everybody. It's unfair to not let other talented Rotarians serve in that position. And you could use the same line. Still holds up. Yours will be a little bit different, Kevin. It's we can't have you be program chair if you're not coming to meetings. And I've been in clubs where they had a program chair who was absent. He'd hire the speaker, but he'd never be there to see how the speaker did. The speaker would be crap. He'd never find out, and he'd book more crap speakers. And you see what happens. So again, it's a quality, it's a standard. That's what I think is at play here. We have so many people on the call today, and I'm really grateful. So if you think I might not get to you and you want to ask your question, type it into chat, and Mackenzie will interrupt me because she's really good at that.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much. I'm just looking at who's on my screen here. No particular order here. Larry, how are you? Do you have a question? Bethany, you want to weigh in? Eugene, who wants to step into the spotlight?
Larry's here.
Hi, Larry.
Had my cell phone going because I couldn't get audio on the laptop, but don't have a question. Just listening, taking it all in. I'm with the Bay City Morning Club, and past president several years ago, past assistant governor, currently serve the district as the district managing grant chairperson. So
Great. Do you have a question, Larry?
no, I don't. I'm just listening.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, sir. Every time somebody says I'm with the Bay City, I always think they're going to say rollers. I don't know why. People of a certain age, I suppose. Thank you, Larry. Gail, are you okay? You comfortable? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Nope, we're good here. I'm
Okay.
a member of the Saginaw Sunrise. We've been meeting on Zoom. We haven't had a whole lot of speakers, but we're moving along.
Is this content helpful for you?
It is, it is. It
Okay.
makes me think there's a lot of things we need to do.
Okay, well, don't bite off more than you could chew. Just take a couple and try them out. Establish some, what Seth Godin calls fast feedback loops. Get some success, some easy success, and condition your club for the changes, right? It's the only way that things are going to get better. You can't.
Right.
I use this on Facebook this week. And by the way, you're all still welcome to join the Get the Word Out Now group on Facebook. This is the group where you can grow your club, raise more money, and get attention for Rotary. I posted this week, I said, in service in your club is either growing or it's dying. It can't stay the same, because if it stays the same, it's dying, right? And it's dramatic. It's a dramatic way to say it, but we've got to constantly keep new visitors coming and new energy and new ideas. And Gail, I know you can do it. Joyce, David Stevens, Chuck, Sherwin, you're in my purview. Talk to me. No, nothing?
This is Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
I've been, thanks for doing this. I've
Pleasure.
been polio chair for the district since 2009. And I'm often told I give a great presentation. I think they do that because they want to humor me sometimes. And I'm an old guy and I'm willing to keep doing it.
Okay.
I don't understand, if I do give a good presentation, why I'm not invited to other clubs. I do very few presentations, and we are talking about a major issue with Rotary.
Yeah.
Every Rotarian should be concerned with this, and I feel I do have a passion for it.
Well, I'm not actually seeing your presentation now because you're only on, I think you're only on audio.
No, I'm not. I see my picture.
Yeah, I see a picture, but I'm not actually getting a sense of how you present through your video right now. But you sound like you know what you're talking about. If you've been doing it for 11 years, somebody must believe in you. But I also subscribe to this theory that, you know, it's a free market economy. The best speakers get the most gigs. So I do think it's worth looking into. Sometimes we say that somebody that's been in a position for 11 years has already pulled all their rabbits out of a hat. Is that possibly true for you, Chuck?
You know, it could be, but if you haven't been to that many clubs, most of these clubs have never seen me, so they don't know if I have a rabbit or a hare.
Yeah, good point. And I like your humor. So, so here's an idea. When I do membership talks, I always tell the club not to bill it as a membership talk, because the standard membership talk, just like the standard governor visit, Tom, just like the standard foundation talk, has stink on it. We've sat through so many average talks that when you say, oh, it's a foundation talk, everybody goes, oh my God, another one. Same thing we heard last year. We're still eradicating polio. We still need money. You know, everybody's numb. So I think you have to come in a different door, maybe with a different title. Maybe it's a talk about, I heard a statistic the other day that shocked me. You might know it, Chuck. The really low percentage of Rotarians that have actually given to polio ever.
9%?
Oh my God, when I heard that, I almost fell out of my chair.
Yes.
So maybe do the reverse presentation and talk about why Rotarians don't donate to polio eradication. That talk would be interesting. And make
You've
that
got to help me with that.
Huh?
You've got to help me with that,
I'll
because
help you.
I only know what I give.
I'll help you. Tell you what, you join that Get the Word Out Now page and you post your question on the group. So we teach everybody at the same time, okay?
Okay.
All right. And thanks for turning your video on. And so
Michael, we did have a couple questions come in on kind of that topic of informing Rotary things. So Dee Dee suggested that if you don't have an outside speaker, being able to do 1 to 2 10-minute Rotarians. So I'm not exactly sure what a 10-minute Rotarian is. Dee Dee, I just muted you if you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, I can tell you about that. You pick a couple people in the club and you have them come up individually and tell about themselves. Primarily, you have them talk about their vocation, but they also, include things about their family, where they live, where they went to college. And quite honestly, a lot of us don't know much about our members. So it kind of gives you some opportunities to later say, hey, I went to the same school, or we live in the same neighborhood. I didn't know that. It's just kind of informative about individual members.
100%.
And it's usually quite interesting.
Yeah, Dee Dee, I'll platform from what you just said. We need to share the microphone, the speaking microphone, with more Rotarians. And one way to do that is just some people call them vocational talks, where they get up and talk about what they do at work and tell a little bit about their family. We've been using a format, or I've seen a format called, I think it's called 5+, we can call it anything, but say 5+2. So the whole segment's called 5+2. The Rotarian gets up and says 5 things about themselves, what they do for work, something about their family, what they do for fun, 5 things, right? And then the audience gets to ask 2 questions. That's 5+2. And it's done in 6 minutes. And people in the audience, I've seen this done, they set their timers on their phones. And all the alarms go off at the same time. And the person in the front of the room goes, oh, I guess I'm done. And the audience giggles like crazy. It is hysterical. It's like a game show.
5+2.
5+2. It doesn't have to be 5+2, but that's an easy way to frame it.
Good idea.
Kevin's got the same problem. Kevin's in front of the microphone all the time. He's got to find a way to get other people. And by the way, Chuck's got the same problem. He's trying to do the foundation talk as Chuck all the time. He needs to do it with a partner, with somebody the opposite of Chuck. If Chuck is old, he needs somebody young. If Chuck is male, he should get a female. If Chuck is a Leo, he should find a Libra. Because that will make Chuck more interesting to other people in the audience. You follow, Chuck? Thumbs up.
On that exact topic, we had a question from Bethany about meeting content flow and moving from topic to topic and speaker while keeping everything moving on time. So you just discussed one strategy there with the 5-2 philosophy as well. So is there anything else that's kind of best practices to have a meeting structure that's engaging but still on time?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's in the Get the Word Out Now group. There are files and documents that I've uploaded, and you can download them. If it's not there, I can get it there easily enough. But you have to join the group and comb through the files to see it. And it's a template for chairing a Rotary meeting as president. And you'll see it has all good meetings, guys. Only 3 things happen: announcements, discussion, and action. And announcements just take a minute or 2 minutes, right? Discussions take longer because you got to hear from people. And action, that's a vote. Again, it's a very short segment. And once you're clear on what those line items are, let's say you have 5 line items, see the 5? And this is a announcement, this is an announcement, this is discussion, and this is something we're going to take action on today. The agenda writes itself. And each of the 5 line items has a champion, so that champion gets the microphone. You see how all this stuff happens in this, I call it the 5-column meeting agenda. If you join the group and don't see it, just type it in as a message to me and I'll make sure you get it. But it's a marvelous template for staying on schedule. You're managing time in a Rotary meeting, and most presidents totally underestimate how many, it's like juggling. And you're not juggling 3 tennis balls. You're juggling a bowling ball, a safety pin, a baby, an ink pen, all this weird stuff. And you're doing it in front of everybody. and you're not a professional juggler, not for nothing. So this is a very challenging thing to do. And I think it's an art form. And we joked last week, most presidents come around by week 27 or 28. But why do you want to wait that long? Let's get it worked out right now. Start with that template right now. How many meetings have you been at where the president ends a meeting and goes, oh, I forgot to tell you something? Why did they forget something? Anybody know? He didn't have it written down. If you're following a list, a checklist, you never forget anything. But everybody wants to wing it. And that's, I think, the issue. Eugene, Cheryl, Alicia, Paulette,
Michael,
David.
this is David Martin Stevens. We met a couple years ago when you talked at the Novi Club.
Yeah, I see you on Facebook too.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I'm in Mount Pleasant Club with Tom and Bethany and a few other people here. And I've just been in there the last couple of years and I just love it and really enjoy it. But the last comment about classification talks, I think is one of the things I enjoy the most. And that is when people do indeed get up and talk. But I like your gimmicks, if you will, that make it a little more fun and interactive. But
Yeah.
I do think sometimes it's be helpful if person is given a little coaching. And if they had that 5+2, they'd have a coaching format so they wouldn't just get up and wing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because when you ask them, you know, their eyes glaze over and they go, yeah, if I have to, because they don't really know what you want. When you tell them what you want, they can settle into it. And when you're specific about what you want, you're more likely to get what you want. So instead of saying crazy things, I think we talked about this last week, like, you know, just take 5 or 10 minutes. Are you kidding me? Again, it's a 100% variance between 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Which is it?
Yeah.
Even the difference between 4 and 5 minutes is 20%, everybody. If it's 4 minutes, say 4 minutes. Have you ever been driving and you see the speed limit's 12? Ever seen one of those signs? You pay attention to it, don't you? Because you don't see that very often. And they're telling you exactly what they want. It's 12, not 15, not 10, 12. Yeah, well done, David. And Dee Dee, that's another thing that we're calling those as vocational talks. And what'd you call it, David?
Classification talk.
Same thing, where we're moving the spotlight around. Because Kevin, when you have people coming up periodically to talk, and I do this all the time, I'm famous for this. I'm in front of the room, I don't even know anybody in the room because I'm a guest. And I'm calling on people. I work in the round. I walk around and I find you and I ask you to stand up and say what your name is and what club you're in. I have amazing participation during my programs. And you know, I might be a pretty good speaker, but I'm even more interesting when I involve everybody else in the room. And I think that's a secret a lot of, forgive me, king presidents and queen presidents neglect. Because they think because they're the president, they have to have the microphone all the time. And that does not make a good year. Just saying. Other questions? Mackenzie?
We did have a question come in when we were having the conversation about polio, the impacts of COVID on the large fundraising events that a lot of folks had scheduled for this summer. So folks are wondering how to promote Rotary and continue to raise important funds for community projects and Polio Plus while we're still kind of transitioning out of COVID and have had a lot of our events canceled.
Yeah, we may have to eat it. You know, I know there's been a lot of interest in being the exact same Rotary that we were pre-COVID in terms of production. In sales, they call it production. How many dollars are raised? We're really shy this year. There's a real thought at high levels in Rotary that we won't even achieve matching funds for Bill and Melinda Gates, which means we would leave all that money on the table. Can you imagine? Now, the good news is Bill Gates will understand COVID took all the air out of our tires. But I can tell you Rotary's not ready to give it up. I was a little interested to see that the program that they brought us to bridge that gap was the lunch money. Have you seen the graphic with the lunch money? And I thought, well, that's interesting because there's 4 kinds of money: big money, small money, fast money, and slow money. And I thought it was interesting that Rotary was going to go after fast, small money to try to bridge that gap and get the matching funds. It'll be interesting to see if they pull it off. Even RI itself did a Rotary telethon. Did anybody attend? Thumbs up if you attended. They were trying to raise $1 million at the telethon. and they only made $500,000. By the way, congratulations on the $500,000. 50% of their goal. So I think we should try to be our best, but I think we also need to understand that these are unprecedented times, and the harder we beat people up for this money, at some point the fabric tears, the fabric of the relationship. There are people that are out of work, people that don't know if they're going to get their jobs back, and we're going to knock on their door and ask them to donate to polio. It's a sensitive thing. Yeah, Paul, that's nodding your head. I'm not an official spokesperson for Rotary, everybody, so I'm just giving you my opinion, and I'm not cutting you slack. I'm not your doctor's note that you don't have to try. I'm just trying to help you understand the totality of the situation. Maybe Gates will say, you know, you couldn't do it by June 30th. Let's look at another deal, because he knows we're good people. He knows we're good for it. Maybe he'll say, I'll extend it, or we'll change the ratio or something moving forward. If anybody's heard anything else, type it into the chat. I'm moving to the second screen because we want to make sure we recognize some people. Hey, Paul Hornack, Andrew Johnson, Dee Brock. Hi, Dee, how are you? Nice exchanging emails with you today. Dallas, also, I think we had some communication. Anything you guys want to throw into the mix right now? Troy Lightprint? Anything on your minds?
Michael, I'm from Ithaca. I'm Paul Hornack.
Hey, Paul.
We have a real small club of about 28. Well, there is 28, not about.
Average size, Paul. Average size, 28.
Okay. And Zoom has not worked. Emails haven't worked. So we're sort of, you know, there's a group of us that keep getting together. We even tried some social nights on Zoom type things.
Right.
And I don't know if it's, we're not, you know, maybe we don't present ourselves well enough for them to want to spend their time, maybe, I don't know. But we're sort of struggling with what to do coming up. And obviously the incoming president, and we just met yesterday and trying to figure out, are we going to have Zoom meetings, or are we going to have live meetings, or something in between, and trying to help her along.
Got something for you that might help. And again, forgive me, I'm not an armchair quarterback here. I don't know your club, but it sounds like a familiar problem. Are you going to be president this year coming up?
No, I'm a AG and foundation chair.
Okay. All right, so listen up now. And I teach this in my online Present Like a Pro class. I actually teach presentation skills, which is how this whole topic came to you, right? I know my stuff on this. And I will tell you, if you're having trouble getting people to answer your email or get on Zoom calls or do these different things, everything is a presentation. Email is a presentation. I can send you an email and get you to open it, Paul. You want to bet me?
No, I believe you.
Yeah. And it has to do with the subject line. A subject line, the sender, right? So if it's always the same person sending out the email and people think they know what it's going to say before they open it, the odds of them opening it goes way down.
Good point.
If the subject line says Friday, we have a problem. Because as the reader, I'm like, this Friday, next Friday, Good Friday. You know, I'm not compelled to open that email. So we have to use a specific type of language in the email. It's called teaser language. And the teaser language will improve your open rate. It's very helpful to know your open rate. So people that are on my list that want speaking tips, and you can all sign up for this. I think maybe Mackenzie can find it, but I think it's michaelangelocaruso.com/Friday5, the number 5. Mackenzie, maybe you can check that out and make sure the link is good, and then post it into chat. But you'll see my subject lines. My open rates sometimes upwards of 40%, and Rotary's getting an average of 5% open rate, 6%. So if a tree falls in the forest, Paul, and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? No. Is this Zoom call mildly interesting for you, Paul?
Sure.
if your people knew about this quality of Zoom call, would they be on it more often?
I would think so.
Okay, so we have what's called proof of concept. Now we just have to figure out how to get somebody in your club, ideally the president-elect, to do Zoom calls that look more like this. Or write emails that have a subject line that's crafted carefully enough that they actually open the email. So the answer is complicated, and it has to do with something called club culture. And that's why I started by saying I don't know your club, but I'm guessing it's a club culture thing. And if you had some kind of firebrand come in and show you how to do this stuff, that things would improve very quickly. I don't know for sure, but that's my guess.
Well, thanks.
Try to get people from your club into this group that I'm talking about. Get the word out now so that we can get them. See, if you're an AG, so you're going to go out and visit clubs. And if you got some good information today, you're going to go visit all these clubs. But we're in North America where membership is waning. And we can't afford to wait for you, Paul, to go do your good work. We need to get to everybody now. So we need everybody in that group getting the information at the same time and then implementing it. Because you're not even going to visit clubs for another 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of the thing I think about sometimes. With how do we speed this up? How do we become more effective? I appreciate your patience, Paul. That's going to be a tough road to hoe, but you can figure it out. You keep in touch with me, okay?
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Let's move down to the, yes?
This is Cheryl from the Bad X Club. We're
Cheryl.
kind of in the same thing as Paul. I mean, I think we've had some pretty decent speakers of late. We've gone all year where we have not had a speaker. We've had one every along. But since we've gone on to the Zoom, our attendance pretty much just plain sucks. We're lucky if we get 6, 7 people on the calls. They just.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We're putting all this work into it, finding, I think, decent speakers, but nobody's getting on board with it. So.
All right, Cheryl, time for your wake-up call.
Oh, I'm almost done. I've only got 2 meetings and I am no longer the president.
Oh, here comes the disclaimer. What are you doing on this call then?
Well, because they opened it up to everybody.
The carrier pigeon and take this message back to the club. Can you at least do that?
Our president-elect is on the call also.
Okay, who is that?
Mimi.
Mimi?
Herrington.
Okay. So are you on mute, Mimi? Let's hear from Mimi and, oh, Mimi, I see it. Hi, Mimi. So I want to talk to you and Cheryl for a second. So when you're problem solving, the first step in solving a problem is to properly identify the problem. Okay? So what people have done that haven't had success with Zoom, they think Zoom's the problem. And Zoom is not the problem because a lot of attendance in clubs has gone up because of Zoom. Yeah, thumbs up from Shelley. Good. I'll tell you something else. If you can't get good speakers at physical meetings because nobody wants to go to Bad Axe, is that where you're from?
Right.
Which I don't think is true. You can get anybody to speak. Anybody to speak to your club on Zoom. You could get the best speakers in the world if they're available, and everybody's available right now because nobody's leaving their house. This is the best time ever, Cheryl. So I won't hear it. And I know you're a nice person, but I won't hear it from people that complain to me, we can't get good speakers. What are you talking about, man? This is the time to get good speakers.
We get good speakers. Come on, Mackenzie, back me up here.
I was just going to say, Cheryl has done a fantastic job. She's my president. We had Evan Burrell, who, does PR extraordinaire for Rotary. We had someone from Youth Exchange that was from our town be able to come in. So, Cheryl's done a fantastic job of being able to get some of these folks. But I think his point of the club culture is more of the issue than the Zoom itself. I think that holds true for our club in my armchair professional status over here.
I agree.
So thank you, Mimi. I've seen Evan speak, and he's good. And I think I'm a pretty good speaker, but I never leave it to chance that the Rotary Club of Bad Axe is going to get a crowd for me. So you know what I do? When I accept the speaking engagement, and I got 2 more today. The Zoom invitations are relentless, ladies and gentlemen. I got 2 more today. And I always tell them, I have so many choices here about this. I work with the clubs who can work with me. That's my first question. And I go, would you be willing to work with me? Now, they don't even know what they're saying yes to, but they go, yeah, it sounds like a reasonable question. Oh, yeah, we'll work with you. Okay, good. I want to have 100 people on the Zoom call. And then they go, blah, 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 blah. You know, we've never had 100 people on a Zoom call. And I go, well, I'll show you how. Are you interested? One time in 20 years, a club president said, we're not interested in having a lot of people come to the meeting. So you know what I said? Well, it sounds like we're not a good fit then. And I didn't speak there. And he left Rotary 2 years later. I guess he didn't understand it. I don't know. But when you've got a good speaker like Evan Burrell, who, by the way, lives in Australia, everybody, and he's way better than average, this guy. Now it's incumbent upon you. How many people showed up to Evan's talk, Mackenzie?
For Evan's talk, we had 60, but that was because we expanded and invited the entire district because we knew that our club was not going to turn out in the numbers that we wanted for an international representation of Rotary.
That's okay. I like it. By the way, why don't you invite everybody to all your Zoom meetings? Why do you think your club Zoom meeting only has to be about your club now? That's another way to rethink this. Because when you can have all that energy, your club becomes more interesting. I would open it up to everybody. Anyway, I'm encouraging speakers like Evan to teach you how to get more people to his program, because a lot of speakers leave it to the, to the meeting planner. And I think that's dangerous. I value my time. I think Evan does too. I think Evan's got a family and kids and stuff. So I want to make sure there's 100 people, and I will help you get them there. I'll teach you how to do it. And as a bonus, you can use those very same techniques the following week with whoever you've got speaking then. That's a win for everybody, right? We're teaching this on the Get the Word Out Now page as well. So Cheryl, I'm not sure exactly what the challenge is with Zoom, but we've got to be able to communicate the value proposition to club members who are for some reason reluctant to come to the table.
I know, Mackenzie does our Facebook. So every week she puts it out there. The link is out there for everybody. For Evan, we advertised, for several weeks in a row. We just kept advertising, encouraging people, but just did not get on board.
So I don't know what the advertising looks like. You see, you got to get under the hood and really look at this. And it's hard for me to tell from a distance. I'm happy to help you. I just can't help you in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
Many times we are inward focused. What if we can be outward focused and let non-Rotarians into our Zoom club meetings?
I think so. So every speaker that comes in has a stripe. Like Evan's a marketing guy. So I would invite anybody that does marketing at their company to Evan's talk. But Randy's right. We think really, like a windshield's this big, but we think this big. We have to invite Rotarians to Evan's marketing talk. You see? But you can invite anybody that works in marketing. By the way, in Club Runner, how many of you have Club Runner? Thumbs up. How many of you using DACDB? Okay, both of them have a category called Friends of Rotary. And this is your list for your funnel, your sales funnel. Everything that you do is about attracting people to Rotary. Funnel is a magic of gravity, because visitors and prospects, they all come to the top of the funnel and they enter the funnel. And the idea is they would come out the funnel as a member of your club. Once they get into the funnel, it's hard for them to get out, because Rotary is such a great thing. Boy, they're eradicating the world of polio. All the city community players are in it. Look at these fun people. Look at this Mackenzie. She's fun. I'm going to come back again, right? So they come in the first meeting, then they come in the second meeting. And then before you know it, they're installing into the club. That's the perfect world. That's Kismet. That's how it's supposed to work. But it doesn't work that way very often, because we lose our way. That we're not seeing enough people come to the funnel. We don't curate that list, Friends of Rotary, in Club Runner. Your club has access to that list. And you should be collecting emails at every meeting. And then they hear from you. certainly once a year. Holiday season's the easiest one of all. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Everybody celebrates that. But you could also market your events to them and your kick-ass speakers. We got a guy, a marketing expert from Australia. When you hear that, they go, he's from Australia. He must be good. You see?
So we did have a question on the idea of sending emails out, whether it's to your friends of Rotary List or to your club. We had a question for some examples of good teaser language for subject lines.
Yeah, for sure.
So like a good and a bad would be really helpful to offer some comparison.
Well, I gave the bad already, which was Friday, right? Or how about this one, Rotary meeting, or you're invited to a Rotary meeting. Oh my God, kill me now. Who needs another meeting? Why do we even call them meetings? If you're having lunch, why don't you call it lunch? A physical meeting, right? It's called word substitution. So instead of having a speaker, you have a keynote. Which one's worth more to you, a keynote or a speaker? Keynote. Would you rather go to a meeting or to a lunch? I'd rather go to a lunch. Now, Zoom meeting is problematic, but could we call it something else? Could you name it?
Google Hangout? Just
like
switch
that.
platforms?
It's like that, right? I mean, Zoom has it, but the meeting doesn't have it, right? Look at the, we did it with a complete food group. What day do we eat tacos? On Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Can you do that with your Rotary Club meeting? Can you rebrand it as something that sounds like it might be not a meeting? Right? Energy Wednesday, or I like alliterations. I'm trying to think of something, another word that starts with W for Wednesday, you know? But sometimes it takes a little while to craft it. But the germ of the idea is there, that you're gonna rebrand your club meeting so it's not a club meeting. Both of those words are working against you. Thumbs up if you understand this. That people who don't belong to a club don't want to come to the club meeting. Tell me you understand that. And tell me you understand that people don't want to come to another friggin' Zoom meeting, because the Zoom meeting invitations have been relentless for everybody. So you're going to call it something else. It's just a verbal sleight of hand, and now you got half a chance of attracting them. But let's go now to the teaser language in the subject line. How about this? 3 things about marketing you'll learn on Wednesday. I don't know. Do you think that somebody reads that subject line and goes, I wonder what those 3 things can be? I've used this one forever. The 15 most powerful words. It's a YouTube. I got a, not million, but thousands of views on YouTube. Google it. Michelangelo Caruso, search it on YouTube. 15 words, 1-5. And because it's such a compelling title, you either want to know what the 15 words are, or you think you know what they are and you want to be affirmed, or you don't know what they are and you want to learn them. But I got you no matter what frame of mind you're in. And by the way, it's a very interesting little video. It's only 3 minutes, and I tell you what the 15 most powerful words are. You understand the teaser language now? Is that a good example? I'm not sure who's asking the question. What else you got? Shelley Norris, Catherine Bushy, how are you? Am I saying that right? Kimberly Clark, Alan
Michael,
Evans.
question.
Shelley.
I'm the president of my club now, and I wish I'd heard you do this Zoom, last year before I started, but a lot of good tips. But my question is surrounding, we're all trying to get new members to join, even during this crisis.
Yes.
And we had a younger person join our call or our Zoom meeting last week, and he had a question. I don't think he's that interested in our meetings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wants to know what he can do.
Yeah.
What can he do right now to help our club? What are we doing?
Yeah. When you say young, how old is young to you?
Well, I'm guessing he's probably in his early 30s. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Young. Yeah.
So let's talk about young people,
Mhm.
younger people. And by the way, I used one of my speaker trips just now to get Shelley to talk. Shelley, how long have you been on this call?
Since the beginning.
Yeah, we're in minute 61, and I got Shelley to talk. How? By asking her if she had something to say. You see how it's not magical, everybody. But I had to leave my own 57-slide PowerPoint presentation and have the presence of mind to look for Shelley's name or Carmen's name or Bethany's name and call on them and pull them into the program. And it's the same technique with the young man. What's his first name?
And I can't remember his first name. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I do have it written down though.
I'm not picking on you, but
Yeah.
this is where Rotarians are famous for this. We think of them as a new member, but we don't call them by their name. Even the board of directors is reviewing, and they say, well, we have this new Rotarian that wants to pledge into the club. Is everybody okay with him? And we don't even know him as a person. So that's the first thing. It's called, in writing, it's called personification. You make this person a human being. I'll pick on you some more, Shelley, if you don't mind. Do you know anything about the guy?
Came during our meeting.
Is he married?
Mary just told us that his name is Andrew and he's in his mid-20s.
Say, yeah.
Oh, see, he's only in his mid-20s. So Mary's the one that brought him in. She should talk.
But we're getting some, Shelley, we're finally getting some real intel. That's what's happening.
Right.
What's his first name again?
Andrew.
Okay, so is he married?
You know, Mary?
Shelley?
He is engaged.
Very good. Thank you, Mary. How come Shelley doesn't know that, Mary?
He's my coworker, so I invited him.
Okay, so you know where he works.
Yep.
Okay, hold on, Mary. Shelley, where does he work?
Yo and Yo.
Okay, what's he do there?
I'm sure he's a CPA.
Almost. He's working on it.
Okay,
Right.
good. Why did he come to the Rotary meeting? Shelley?
Because Mary invited him, and I think she talked to him about possibly being our treasurer, because we are looking for a new treasurer.
All right,
And
so there may be something for him to do almost immediately to be treasurer.
Exactly.
Okay, good. But Shelley's been a good sport here. But what I'm trying to say to you guys in my own direct way is that 5 or 6 or 10 people in the club should know his name is Andrew. He's a fledgling CPA. He's engaged to be married. What are the human questions you normally ask people when you find this crap out?
Sure.
Andrew, do you have a date yet?
Sure.
Are you excited? Do you have a house? You start pulling this sales funnel is not done by saying we have a position that needs to be filled. That's not how you get people into the funnel. And I'm not yelling at you, Shelley. What
I didn't think
gets them into the funnel is 10 people asked Andrew a personal question at his first meeting. Not just Mary, who happened to be sitting by his side the whole time. And I'm after my club all the time on this. Physically greet, this may change after COVID, physically greet every visitor of the club. Every member greets every guest. Can you imagine 30 people walk up to you and say, hello, I'm glad you're here?
I like it.
They'd ask for an application on the spot. That's the sales funnel. It has nothing to do with sales. It has to do with people skills. But I think you got to ask Andrew, I like these kind of questions. Somebody taught me this. When I joined Optimist, there was a guy, he was a legendary recruiter, and his favorite question to ask people, you like this, guys. He pulled the guy aside, kind of a quiet librarian tone. There'd be other people around, but he'd ask this question. He'd say, do you like children? And if the guy stumbled or said, geez, I don't know children that well, he'd raise his voice and he'd say, what do you mean you don't like children? And everybody would look, who's the person who doesn't like children? Because his thing was, because Optimist is a friend of youth, that's their slogan. Like ours is service above self, theirs is friend of youth. So he said, if he could get you to a place where you admitted you liked children, or let's say the concept of children, you were a perfect Optimist prospect. You see? And we need to do the same thing with Rotary. You know, do you like helping people? It's a binary question. Binary questions can only be answered one of two ways, yes or no. If it's no, you're not a good fit for Rotary. You'll never work out if you don't like helping people. But fortunately, it's what we call in sales trade a yes question. And 99% of the people are going to say yes. Thumbs up if you understand this concept. When you ask yes questions and the person says yes, they fall into the funnel a little bit further. And I would think asking Andrew if he likes helping people has got to be on the top of mind the next time you see him, Shelley.
Well, I was actually very stumped that he wants to know what he can do, because there isn't really much to do right now. You know, we're still doing, but I think he means, you know, what can I get involved in?
Yeah. Well, there's still titles that need to be filled for the year. All presidents right now are trying to fill their slate, like finding a treasurer, or even better, an assistant treasurer. You know, because when you say, well, I'm glad you're here, Andrew, we need a treasurer, he starts climbing out of the funnel. You know, he smells a rat.
You're right.
And just like program chair, you know, we don't, you might need a program chair, but don't tell the new guy you need a program chair. Just say, well, you seem like a people person. You know, we always have to have speakers. Would you like to help with that? Notice how I said it. Would you like to help with that? I might even tell you how much time it takes. It only takes 30 minutes a week. Maybe not even that. Does that sound reasonable to you? Again, a yes question. He goes, yes. And he falls into the funnel. You see? But we're so thirsty for, you know, when we get fresh person coming in, we haven't seen one for a while. And we have all these positions that need to be filled, and we try to harness, you know, the saddle, put the saddle on the person. It's just not right. Shelley, you're a good sport.
Thanks.
Other questions? We still have 52 people on the call. You guys are so impressive. Thanks for hanging in there. Gabriel, Karen Moore, Yvette, all you shy people not on video. Hi, Sam. Hi, Chip. Mandy. If you'd rather type your question or comment into chat, Mackenzie will get it in front of me. If I've said something today that bothers you, that's good news. And this is your chance to follow it up. Ask me. Tell me why it bothers you. Tell me why I'm wrong. I like to be wrong. I don't need to be right all the time.
So I would disagree with the way that Rotarian handles new members. So in my experience, I sat down with Cheryl at the beginning of this year and said, I need to do something, or this isn't a good use of my time. What I found is that folks my age, so I'm now technically late 20s, which is really sad. But
yeah, you're so old.
I know. But I no longer need the social quote unquote club of Rotary. I curate that for myself exactly how I want to on my phone. I make my own social network. That's no longer the broad-based appeal. I joined Rotary because I wanted to get involved in my community. I don't have kids, so I'm not involved in the school system. All of these different ways that people traditionally got involved, we're maybe not at that point. So for me, I was asking, what can I do? Because I wanted to do more than just show up at a meeting, sit there, maybe have some discussion once a week, and then go home.
Right. So can you answer the question? When somebody was saying earlier, you know, the person wants something to do, but we don't know what to give him. We're not prepared for that question.
Yeah. So Cheryl, when I sat down with Cheryl, I said, I'm looking to get involved. I want to be able to do something. And her feedback to me was, well, our Facebook page could use some help. And of course, being the good millennial that I am, I'm always with my phone. So to me, I was like, this is something I'm good at. This is something that the club needs. It's not an official title. It's not, you know, there's not a communications officer that we have. It was just, there was a need in the club and we needed someone that was willing to do that, and it fit. So part of it though is knowing your members enough to know where they could slide in official or unofficial roles. Even just being the meeting greeter. Like if you have someone like me that likes to talk, they get to be the person that, you know, goes around to each one of the tables and says, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
So it
So
doesn't always have to be an official title or a slate or an office of something, just showing them how you can take action.
remember I said earlier, get the right people on the bus, get those people in the right seats. Mackenzie's exactly right. Our challenge in Rotary is because we need something, we say to the other person, here's what we need. That's the opposite of the right approach. The right approach is, what are you good at? You just assumed Andrew wants to do numbers because he does numbers at work. What if Andrew wants nothing to do with numbers in service? You going to decide that for him? So find out what his hidden talents are. Find out what he likes to do. When I was governor, my favorite question to ask of people was, what do you do for work? And if they were retirement age, I would say, what are you retired from? Because now they're going to tell me what they did 2,000 hours a year for 20 years. They're going to tell me what they're really good at. Because if you talk to most Rotarians, they want to tell you all the offices they had in Rotary, and they're all the same. We've all had the same offices. I want to know your hidden talent. Are you a meeting planner? Are you a musician? Are you good with spreadsheets? I'd love that information to be in Club Runner. One more thing about younger people. Older people respond to this. It's called the org chart. It's a top-down management. It comes from the military. That's why we have a president. Everybody reports to the president, you know. This is how Rotary rolls. And young people work in hives. And the hives intercommunicate. So when you get a young person in your club and you say, okay, we're going to welcome to the org chart. Here's where we put the new people. What do you think they think? I don't want to be there. I don't want to be the lowest guy. That's right, Alicia. I don't want to be the low guy on the thing. I don't want to have to earn my way. I don't have to be in Rotary 30 years before I can be president of this silly little club. But we reward on tenure. It's hard to overlook the people that have been waiting 10 years to be president, even if the new person's the best person for the job. Fascinating, isn't it? And they have this trouble at the very top of Rotary, where people who have been waiting to be president of Rotary International for years, some of them put in 6 and 7 times. And we've got people down here on the org chart who could really put this organization on the map again in ways we need to be. Just my personal opinion. Right person for the job. Jim Collins, right? Good to great. Right people on the bus, right people in the right seats. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Michael,
what else can I do for you tonight?
Michael,
Yes.
I'm the district trainer, and in listening to you, I realized that we've done our best to teach incoming presidents what they need to do, and you're teaching them how to do it. The process, you know, how they do it. We're teaching them process, or what needs to be done, what their responsibilities are. And one thing I realized that I did not do in training, and that's teach everybody about Zoom. Because who would have known?
That's right.
we were at Pets when everything happened. So yeah, so that's something. But it'll be on next year's agenda training. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you know, I always tell people that we need to stop playing checkers, and we need to start playing chess. We'll finish up with this major point here. In checkers, and I might have mentioned this last week. Forgive me if I did. In checkers, most people think 1 or maybe 2 moves ahead, because it's that kind of a game. You know, the board, it's all laid out in front of you. You don't have to think that deeply into it. But in chess, we think 4 and 5 moves ahead. Dee, you'd be interested to know, I introduced Zoom to my club and district in 2015. And it was not an easy battle. I didn't have COVID as an excuse. I didn't have a pandemic as an excuse. And it was like pulling teeth. And I'll tell you what made me do it. It was about the value proposition. It's one of the first things we talked about tonight. It's a good way to wrap up the call. Mackenzie, you flag me if we've got any questions in the queue. And please enter those 2 links. They Get the Word Out Now Facebook group, and also the Friday 5. Did you find that?
Yep, there, Samantha put them both in there already, so they have
Excellent.
them.
Thank you. So the Friday Five is my email distribution list, everybody. And that's where you can see how I write these emails that you're going to want to open. And you want to use those same techniques to get people to open your email. And the other one's a Facebook group for Rotarians. So, this idea in 2015, I was getting ready to be governor, Tom Miles, and I had to drive across my district. I live in Rochester Hills, if you know where that is. And I had to drive to practically Ypsilanti for a dinner meeting. And we had to do it in rush hour. So it took an hour and a half to get there. The sit-down meal, as most of them go, was about 3 hours. And I think we got home in 45 minutes because there was no traffic. What is that, six hours, something like that? 6 hours. I said, I can't get done what I need to get done as governor if I'm doing 6-hour meetings. We did the next meeting on Zoom, and it was 30 minutes, and we got 5 times as much stuff done. Now, did we have a learning curve where we had to teach everybody the tech? Yeah. Were there a lot more people in 2015 that didn't even have a webcam? Yeah. But if we could figure it out in 2015, we could certainly figure it out in 2020. And that's just one of the things that will make Rotary more efficient and sharpen the value proposition for everybody. Michigan gets some rough weather. Wouldn't it be great if we could just flick the switch and go to a Zoom meeting instead of putting people at peril on icy roads and stuff? I mean, it makes complete sense to me. And I'm hearing about clubs that want to do one Zoom meeting a quarter, even in great weather, so that they can get a really, really world-class speaker to come in. They put 100 people on the call. And then they use that speaker as fish bait to get people in the community to come to the next physical meeting. Because aren't we fun? Look how many people we had on the call. You guys can do this. Rotary is the greatest service organization, not just right now, but in the history of civilization. And the value proposition hasn't changed, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go get it, man. Let's grow our clubs and let's get, you know, we join Rotary for service, but I want you to get more from Rotary too. And it's possible. Any last thoughts or questions, Mackenzie? Anybody?
Randy has something that he dropped in the chat that I think he wants to share.
Okay. Still 48 people on the call. That's pretty groovy. This is not a sleepover call, everybody. We're waiting for Randy, are we?
Yep, there we go. Yeah, at the end of last week, I said everyone should bring their favorite beverage along. And I have mine right here. And I'm going to give a toast. And if you don't have your favorite beverage, raise your imaginary beverage. And this is a toast to each and every one of us for attending the class, learning special leadership skills presented by Michael Caruso, and also to all the president-elects. This is going to be a fun evening with your beverage and learning. And also, I want to say, raise your glass to the communications team. They really did an awesome job of putting this together. So, here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, you guys are going to have an amazing year. Listen, I'm not too far away. Randy knows where to find me. I'm coming back to your district to do a fundraiser seminar for the Pinckney Club in March of next year.
How about the Pigeon Club?
What did I say, Pinckney?
Yeah.
Let's do that one too.
That's a teaser line that we don't like.
It is, don't be like that, man. Pigeon, thank you very much, Chef.
There you go, Michael. Cheers,
and I think it's March 10. Is it a Tuesday? Wednesday?
I think that, I forget the date, but I think that's right.
I'll tell you what, you guys, you're all going to see the promo that we're going to use with the teaser language to put over 100 people in the room. And that Pigeon/Pinckney Club is going to net $10,000 in that afternoon program. And this fundraiser is available to everybody. I only do a couple of a year, and somebody from this, was it Bay City, I think, has already reached out to me. We need to talk more and figure something out. But if any clubs are interested in this, we've got to learn from each other. Peter Senge wrote a great book a few years back called The Fifth Discipline. And his whole premise was establish what's called a learning organization. We're always learning from each other. So if I can help you in any way, again, my personal cell number, got a pen? And my email. Probably best to do it this way. My website has contact me in it, right? So go to michelangelocaruso.com and then find that little flag in the nav bar that says contact me and let me know what I can do for you, okay? And you can find me in the Get the Word Out Now group anytime. Randy, what's your beverage of choice?
Tonight it's a white Zin.
Very good. I think Mackenzie's got a beer. That's okay. Great.
Good old lighthearted.
Thank you very much, everybody. You're fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's just do a little bit better. And thank you, everybody, for being on this two-part session. We're well into over an hour and still 47 people on the call. That's a tribute to you. I really appreciate you. Thanks for all you do for the greatest service organization in the world.
Thank you for everything you did, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Michael.
I'll stay on with Randy and Mackenzie. We'll say goodbye.
Bye,
Anybody
guys.
else that wants to
Thank
stay
you.
on?
Bye, thank you.
Bye.